Welcome to Grad Guidance, career tips and tools for graduate students. I'm your host, Allie Irk, Associate Director of Graduate Student Career Development at Lehigh University.
In this episode, we'll be discussing connecting at conferences with Sabira Ahmed, a master's student in the College of Education and the Counseling Psychology program.
Welcome to Grad Guidance. I'm Allie Irk. Today, our guest is Sabira Ahmed, who's going to be talking about building connections at conferences. Welcome, Sabira.
Hi, it's nice being here. Thank you.
Thanks so much for being here. Attending conferences is a great way to expand your professional connections during your graduate studies. So I'm really excited to talk with you about ways to maximize your opportunities to network at conferences. So Sabira, I was wondering if you could tell us a little bit about your background and share your experience as well as any tips for connecting at conferences.
I'm a first year in the Counseling Psychology program. I'm a master's student, and I'm really interested in gender-based violence research and intersectional research with marginalized communities. So I was really excited to have been able to go to a conference in March. It was the Association for Women in Psychology, and I was able to present my paper there. And I have gone to a few conferences in the past, and I've really enjoyed all of my experiences. I really like that most conferences I've gone to have been funded, both in my undergrad and here. Here I had it funded through the my college's Dean's Travel Award. And so if you have posters or if you have papers, you're more likely to get a larger sum. So my entire trip was covered. And so that was really awesome to be able to go to Chicago for 4 days and have that covered. And I really had such a great time during the conference, not just with the presentation, but just being able to meet other people who are just as passionate about this field. It was a lot of feminist research focused on like gender-based research and looking at violence and trauma. And it was just really awesome to be able to go there and I think I was like kind of in a slump with my research. And I think being in a room full of so many people who were just like sharing what they were doing and sharing their passion really just rejuvenated my passion and like helped me figure out where I would want to go with my research. And it was just really nice to be able to meet a lot of different people as well.
That sounds like an amazing opportunity to really expand your connections within your own field and those who are also doing similar work as the work that you're doing. I was wondering if you could give maybe some insights and tips for students who are considering going to conferences. How could they take advantage of those opportunities to meet people? Maybe what ways could they prepare, suggestions for follow-up, anything that comes to mind to share about those topics?
So I really like that my conference, this one, they had a app. It's the Whova app, and most conferences will either make their own app or use the Whova app. And they also have a website, and there they kind of give you an itinerary of it's usually like 3 days, and they tell you like who's presenting on what days. And there's so many different ways to kind of meet with different presenters. So a lot of the times, a lot of researchers have multiple presentations. And so you can kind of sign up or like make your own schedule and decide that you want to go to this presentation to meet one person here and then another one later on. And I think the best part was that with the app, I was able to kind of like do research beforehand. And there's usually so many presentations. So it was really nice that I was able to kind of prepare ahead of time, like look up who was going, and it usually gives a little description, like this person is doing this type of research, and they tell you what their presentation is going to be about and where they're from and like what their background is, like where they are currently teaching or just doing a fellowship. And so with that, I was able to kind of, I guess, like look them up and like see, oh, I'm really interested in this, or oh, I really want to meet this person. What's really great is if you go to a conference that's similar to your background, you're probably going to recognize some of these people from your research. And so it really is like a starstruck moment where you're like, oh my God, this person that I've cited so many times is going to be there. I'll be able to meet them. So then I'm able to like really hone down on like who I want to meet and who would be really good to just get my name out to. I know that in the future, I really want to get into a doctoral program. So with this, I was able to meet so many people who I could potentially want to apply to their school and like work with them. I found a few in like Boston and Texas, people that I hadn't even known about because I feel like going on Google Scholars and like through my literature reviews, I don't get to meet everyone. And then here it's like a whole horde of people doing similar research that I'd never met. So I was able to discover them and then like actually meet with them and meet specifically with the graduate students that they work under. So I was able to get like the inner scoop of like, oh, like how's it like in the lab? How a lot of things you can't like find on websites, and like actually talking to the lab, you were like, oh, one person was like, actually don't come here because our funding is going through a lot of issues. And so just finding different like organizations that I can potentially collab with, and also just people. Like I met a lot of other graduate students through the app, and I like that the conference is set where you can do a lot of networking. So there were meet and greets, happy hours every night, little dinners, like for different groups, like a medical focus happy hour, one for like intersecting identities. And so I really got to meet like a niche group of people within the conference, and they were all graduate students and they were all super cool. And we got to like share each other's like Instagram and like we keep up with each other. And it's just been really nice to like be able to kind of, I guess, network and like meet these people who I'd never would have come across.
That is amazing that you got to meet so many people from all over, right? So you mentioned all different locations and different places. And you also mentioned how getting to know these individuals helped you to find out information you otherwise wouldn't have access to. So it really is tremendous. Connecting with others is a way to source information. It opens opportunities. And so I am just so excited to hear that you got to meet so many people. And I'm curious to know, you mentioned that you exchanged ways to follow up. So I'm curious to know if you could share a little bit about your follow-up with any of the individuals that you did meet at the conference.
Sure. I really like that it's very casual. I've personally had a lot of issues with just like cold emails to people who I've never like met. So with this, I can be like, oh, I talked to you in the conference and you had told me about your lab and I was interested in learning more about it. And also just more casual ways too, like in the happy hour, we were able to like exchange Instas. So then they would kind of use, also like academic Twitter, where now that we're kind of know each other, we're able to just message each other on different papers that we see each other on. One person I'm meaning to reach out to and like specifically talk about their program, because I think I might be interested in collaborating. I haven't had a chance yet, but I got his email and his number. So I'm glad that I can like email, and since I've already met him and like we've had dinner together and stuff like that, it'll be a lot more chill. I've also just, I think it's very common to like not have to immediately reach out. I was scared that I would need to like keep in touch constantly, but I think it's very normal to be like, oh, like I met you a couple months ago, and like in the summer we're a lot more free anyways. So I'm happy to like reach out now and hear more about like the current research. So I'm really glad that I was able to do that. I think just having that like casual happy hour and those dinners made it a lot easier to like now reach out and like get connected to other people in these people's programs.
I think you provided so many great ways that you have been able to connect beyond the conference. So whether it's through different types of social media or email, or, like you mentioned, you might even be connected, in multiple ways, and it might be some time, but even you might even see these individuals again at a future conference or event, since you are connected in similar research topics and areas. So I think it's fabulous that you've really taken time to build these connections. And I thank you so much for sharing all of your insights. I think when you go to a conference, you gain so much information and knowledge and opportunities as well to present. But I think these informal opportunities to connect, which you talked about, are equally as important. And I just thank you so much for sharing your experience and just encouraging other students to connect at conferences and take time to do that.
Of course, I highly recommend going to conferences. It's a really great way to meet other people in your similar field of research.
Fabulous, fabulous. Thank you so much. And I also appreciated that you shared the encouragement to look within your department, within your college, for different funding opportunities. I know even there's funding opportunities sometimes too through the Graduate Student Senate here at Lehigh and other places on campus. So excellent tip to be able to think about that as well.
Yeah, I definitely recommend it.
Wonderful. Well, if you would like to get prepared for a conference, we also have lots of resources to help you if you're thinking about things like networking or getting your LinkedIn profile updated. So here in the Career Center, we can support you in many different ways as you continue to move forward on your career path. Thanks so much for tuning into Grad Guidance, and we hope to connect with you in the future.
Here are some tips for connecting at conferences. Identify conferences in your field and explore available funding opportunities. Research presenters and participants before the conference begins to find individuals that you want to connect with. Leverage online platforms and virtual conferences to engage in discussions and meet others with similar interests. Attend informal events planned during a conference, such as dinners or evening receptions, to expand your connections. Take time to introduce yourself, ask questions, and exchange contact information with those you meet. Consider ways to connect with individuals after a conference using social